The autumn rain drizzled softly over the cracked asphalt of Miller's gas station on the edge of Portland, Oregon, turning the air cool and heavy with the smell of wet pavement and gasoline. Inside a battered old Subaru, 7-year-old Marcus Webb pressed his freckled nose against the cold window, his wide brown eyes taking in every detail of the gray afternoon. His mother, Jennifer, 32, but carrying the weight of far more years, gripped the steering wheel tightly, even though the car was parked. The orange fuel light had been glowing for miles, a silent accusation that money was running out again. "Mom, can I get a candy bar?" "Just one?" Marcus asked, his voice small but hopeful. Jennifer glanced at him in the rearview mirror. Her dark hair was pulled into a tired ponytail, and the shadows under her green eyes told the story of endless double shifts at Providence Hospital. 3 years ago, her husband had died in a construction accident, leaving behind medical bills, grief, and a little boy who still sometimes asked when Daddy was coming home. "We've got crackers at home, sweetie," she said softly, hating how the words sounded. "We have to be careful until payday." Marcus nodded without whining. He was used to it. Hand-me-down clothes, shoes that pinched, and the way his mom's shoulders always seemed tense. He loved her more than anything, and he tried hard not to make things worse. Jennifer stepped out to pump the few gallons she could afford, the nozzle clicking slowly. That's when the roar started, deep, rumbling thunder that made the ground vibrate. 5 massive motorcycles rolled into the far end of the parking lot, chrome gleaming even under the cloudy sky. The riders wore black leather vests with bold patches. Hell's Angels, Portland chapter. Jennifer's stomach tightened. Everyone in town knew the reputation. Tough, intimidating, the kind of men you crossed the street to avoid. "Stay in the car, Marcus," she called through the cracked window. But Marcus wasn't staring at the bikers. His sharp eyes had locked onto something else. A man in a dark gray hoodie, hood pulled low, moving suspiciously along the row of parked bikes. The man kept glancing over his shoulder, his steps quick and nervous. He crouched beside the first motorcycle, pulled something metallic from his pocket, and disappeared behind the wheel. Marcus frowned. Something felt very wrong. He remembered Uncle Dave, his mom's mechanic friend, who had visited last month and talked about a customer whose brake lines had been deliberately cut. "Almost killed the guy," Dave had said gravely. "Brakes fail at 60 miles an hour. You don't walk away from that." The hooded man moved to the second bike, then the third, repeating the same furtive motions. Marcus could now see the glint of a small cutting tool in the man's hand. His heart started pounding like a drum in his chest. These were Hell's Angels bikes. Dangerous men, scary men. But if they started those engines... "Mom!" Marcus whispered urgently, but Jennifer was focused on the pump. The man finished the 4th bike and started on the 5th. Marcus couldn't wait any longer. His tiny hands fumbled with the seatbelt. Before he could second-guess himself, he pushed the door open and bolted across the wet parking lot, his untied shoelaces flapping, his too small jacket flapping open in the wind. "Wait! Don't start your bikes!" His high-pitched voice cracked through the air like a gunshot. The bikers, 5 large tattooed men who had been laughing and lighting cigarettes, froze. Their heads turned slowly towards the little boy, sprinting straight at them. Jennifer dropped the gas nozzle with a clatter. "Marcus! Get back here now!" But it was too late. The nearest biker, a giant of a man with a long grey beard braided into 2 thick ropes, arms covered in faded military and club tattoos, stepped forward, his face stern and unreadable. "Kid, what the hell are you doing?" His deep voice rumbled. Marcus skidded to a stop, chest heaving, finger pointing frantically towards the hooded figure who had now frozen like a deer in headlights. "There's a bad man. He's cutting things on your bikes. I saw him with a tool under the wheels. My mom's friend said if brake lines get cut, people crash and die." The words spilled out in a terrified rush. The bearded biker, Bear, though Marcus didn't know that yet, followed the boy's pointing finger. The hooded man's face went ghost white. He dropped the tool with a metallic clink and started backing away. "Jake, Chase, check the bikes," Bear barked. "Tommy, grab that son of a bitch!" 2 bikers sprinted to the motorcycles. One lunged after the fleeing suspect. Jennifer reached Marcus and yanked him against her legs, her body trembling. I'm so sorry. He was supposed to stay in the car. But Bear was already crouching down to Marcus's level, his massive frame somehow less frightening up close. His steel gray eyes softened. "What's your name, little man?" "Marcus," the boy whispered. "Marcus," Bear repeated gently. "You might have just saved 5 lives today." At that moment, Jake stood up from inspecting the first bike, his face dark with rage. "Clean cuts on the brake lines. 3 bikes so far. This one too." Jennifer felt her knees go weak. Her little boy, her brave, observant little boy, had just stopped a disaster. If this story of a child's courage in the face of danger has already touched you, hit that like button and subscribe to Road Motorcycle Diaries. We bring you real stories that prove bravery comes in the smallest packages, and that goodness can appear where you least expect it. The hooded man vanished around the corner. Police sirens were already wailing in the distance. But what none of them knew yet was that this single act of courage had just set off a chain of events that would change Marcus and Jennifer's lives forever and draw them into a world they never imagined belonging to. A single drop of rain slid down Bear's weathered cheek as he stared at the clean, deliberate slices in the rubber brake lines, the kind of cut that would hold just long enough for a rider to hit the highway, then fail catastrophically at the worst possible moment. The other 4 Hells Angels stood in a tight circle around the bikes, their easy laughter from minutes ago replaced by a cold, dangerous silence that seemed to make the drizzling rain hiss louder against the asphalt. 7-year-old Marcus clung to his mother's leg, his small body trembling from the adrenaline crash. Jennifer's arms were wrapped protectively around him, her nurse's scrubs damp from the rain, her heart still hammering so hard she could hear it in her ears. Bear straightened slowly, his massive frame casting a shadow over mother and son. For a split second, Jennifer braced herself, ready to scoop Marcus up and run if needed. But the big man's steel gray eyes held no threat, only something deeper, respect. "You sure about what you saw, son?" Bear asked, his voice low and steady, like distant thunder. Marcus nodded vigorously, his messy brown hair plastered to his forehead. "He had a little knife thing. He went under each bike, right by the front wheel. He did it fast, like he didn't want anyone to see." Cole, the vice president, late 30s, sharp, intelligent eyes, a jagged scar running across his jaw, knelt beside the 5th bike and ran a gloved finger along the line. "This one's cut too. 4 out of 5. Whoever this bastard is, he wanted us all gone." Tommy, the lean one who had chased the suspect, came jogging back, breathing hard. "Silver Honda Civic, Oregon plates TRJ 847. Got a good look at his face. Mid-20s, skinny, pock marks on his cheeks. He peeled out the back exit before I could get close." Bear was already pulling out his phone, dialing with thick fingers. "Yeah, this is Bear from Portland chapter. We need a unit at Miller's gas station off 82nd. Attempted murder. Someone just sliced brake lines on 4 of our bikes. We've got a witness. A kid who stopped us from riding out." Jennifer felt the world tilt. Attempted murder. Her little boy had just stepped into something far bigger and darker than a childish impulse. Officer Davidson arrived within 10 minutes, cruiser lights painting the wet parking lot red and blue. He was a veteran cop, mid-50s, with tired eyes that had seen too much. He greeted Bear with a familiar nod. Portland wasn't that big, and the club and police had their understandings. "Bear," Davidson said. "Dispatch said vandalism. You're calling it attempted murder?" "Damn right," Bear replied, gesturing to the bikes. "Clean cuts. Professional enough to hold until highway speed. This wasn't kids with too much time." Davidson crouched beside the bikes, examined the damage, then turned to Marcus. He pulled out a small notebook and softened his voice. "Hey, buddy, I'm Officer Mike. Can you tell me exactly what you saw?" Marcus looked up at his mom for permission. Jennifer nodded, squeezing his shoulder gently. The boy recounted every detail, the nervous glances, the crouching, the metallic glint, the order of the bikes. His voice shook at first, but grew steadier as he spoke. Davidson's eyebrows rose higher with every sentence. When Marcus finished, the officer closed his notebook slowly. "Kid, you've got the best eyewitness memory I've heard in years. You might have just saved 5 lives. Jennifer's throat tightened. She wanted to grab her son and drive far away from all of this, from the bikes, the leather, the danger. But something in Bear's and Cole's expressions held her in place. Bear looked directly at her. "Ma'am, your boy's a hero, but heroes who witness this kind of thing sometimes attract attention they don't want." A chill ran down Jennifer's spine. "What do you mean?" Cole stepped closer, voice calm but firm. "The guy who did this saw the kid pointing him out. He got away. If he's connected, and cuts like these usually are, he might try to find out who talked." Jennifer instinctively pulled Marcus tighter. We didn't do anything wrong. We can just go home." "We won't say anything else." Bear shook his head gently. "You already said plenty, and that's good. But going home tonight might not be safe. Not until we know who sent him." Jennifer's mind raced. Home was a cramped 1-bedroom apartment in a bad part of town, 3 months behind on rent, with locks that barely worked. She had $19 left in her checking account until Friday. Safety wasn't something she could afford even on a normal day. I can't just not go home," she whispered. "I have work tomorrow. Marcus has school." Cole exchanged a long look with Bear. Then Bear spoke, his deep voice surprisingly gentle. "There's a diner 2 blocks over. Maggie's. Best coffee in the city. Let us buy you and the boy a hot meal while we wait for detectives. Warm up, talk this through. Least we can do for the people who just saved our brothers." Marcus tugged at Jennifer's sleeve, eyes wide. "Mom, can we? I'm kinda hungry." Jennifer looked at these men she'd been taught to fear her whole life. Tattoos, leather, patches that struck terror in most people. Yet here they were, offering protection, gratitude, kindness. She felt tears threatening, but swallowed them back. "Okay," she said quietly, just for a little while." As they walked toward the bikes, Bear hung back with Jennifer. "Your boy's got guts," he rumbled, "and sharp eyes. World needs more like him." Jennifer managed a shaky smile. "He's always watching everything. His teacher says he notices things other kids miss." Bear nodded. "That gift just saved lives today, and maybe it's about to change yours." They climbed into the cars, Jennifer and Marcus in the Subaru, the angels on their bikes, and headed toward Maggie's diner. Jennifer glanced in the rearview mirror and saw the 5 motorcycles riding in perfect formation behind her, engines growling like guardians. She didn't know it yet, but the life she'd been barely surviving was about to end. And something infinitely better was waiting just ahead. But as they pulled into the diner parking lot, Jennifer's phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. One simple line that turned her blood to ice. "We know what the kid saw." The bell above the door of Maggie's diner jingled cheerfully as 5 Hell's Angels filed in, behind the exhausted single mother and her wide-eyed little boy. The smell of sizzling burgers and fresh coffee wrapping around them, like a warm blanket against the cold Oregon rain. The place hadn't changed since the 1970s. Red vinyl booths cracked with age, black and white photos of old Portland on the walls, and a long counter where regulars nursed bottomless mugs. Maggie herself, a sturdy woman in her late 60s, with silver-streaked hair pinned up and kind crow's feet around her eyes, looked up from wiping the counter. She took in the leather vests, the patches, the dripping helmets, then Jennifer's pale face, and Marcus clutching his mom's hand. Not a single eyebrow was raised. "The usual for the boys," she called out with a grin. "And whatever this beautiful lady and her handsome young man want, on the house for them." Bear shook his head. "No, Maggie. Today it's on us. All of it." Jennifer slid into the largest corner booth. Marcus pressed close against her side. The bikers filled the space around them like a protective wall. Bear and Cole directly across, Jake and Tommy on the ends, Dutch pulling up a chair from a nearby table. The other patrons stole quick glances but said nothing. Maggie's was neutral ground, and everyone knew it. A waitress brought coloring menus and crayons for Marcus without being asked. He hesitantly picked a red one and started filling in a motorcycle drawing, his tongue poking out in concentration. Jennifer's hands shook as she wrapped them around a steaming mug of coffee. Real coffee. Not the instant stuff she made at home to save money. It tasted like heaven. Cole leaned forward, elbows on the Formica table, voice low. Ma'am, Jennifer, right? I need to ask straight. Is there anyone who might want to hurt you or Marcus? Ex-boyfriend? Debt collectors? Anyone who knows your routines? Jennifer swallowed hard. My husband, Ryan, he died 3 years ago. Construction accident. Faulty scaffolding. There was a settlement, but after the medical bills and funeral, she trailed off, eyes dropping to the table. There's no one. We keep to ourselves. I work nights at Providence. Marcus goes to school and aftercare. That's our whole life. Bear's massive hand rested gently on the table near hers. Not touching, just there. You're not alone anymore. Not tonight. Maggie arrived with plates piled high. Double cheeseburgers, crispy fries, chocolate milkshakes thick enough to stand a spoon in. Marcus's eyes went round as saucers. Mom, look, a real milkshake. Jennifer opened her mouth to protest the extravagance, but Maggie cut her off with a wink. Growing boys need calories, honey, and you look like you've been running on fumes. Eat. For a few minutes, there was only the sound of eating. Grateful, hungry bites. Marcus giggled when froth stuck to his nose. Even the bikers seemed to relax a fraction, the tension in their shoulders easing. Then Jennifer's phone buzzed on the table. Unknown number. She stared at the screen, a cold knot forming in her stomach. With trembling fingers, she opened the message. We know what the kids saw. Keep quiet, or regret it. The color drained from her face. The burger turned to ash in her mouth. Cole saw it first. Jennifer? She slid the phone across the table without a word. Bear read the text, his jaw tightening until the braids in his beard seemed to pull tighter. He passed it to Cole, who cursed under his breath. Sent 10 minutes ago, Cole said quietly. They already have your number. Marcus looked up, sensing the shift. Mom? What's wrong? Nothing, baby, Jennifer lied, pulling him closer. Just work stuff. But her voice cracked. Bear stood abruptly, all 6'5" of him, and stepped outside the glass door. Jennifer watched him on the phone, pacing under the awning, rain dripping from his beard. When he came back in, his expression was grim, but determined. Club's on it, he said simply. We've got a safe place. Clean, quiet, fenced yard. Club owns it for situations like this. You and Marcus are staying there tonight. No arguments. Jennifer's eyes filled with tears. She couldn't stop this time. I can't. I don't have anything with me. Clothes, Marcus's inhaler, his school stuff. We'll get it all, Cole interrupted gently. One of us will go with you to your apartment. Pack what you need. You won't be alone for a second. Marcus looked up at Bear, curiosity overriding fear. Do you have swings? Bear's stern face cracked into a small smile. Rusty old set in the back. Needs fixin'. But yeah, Marcus turned to his mom, eyes pleading. Can we, Mom? Please. Jennifer felt trapped between terror and an overwhelming sense of unreality. These men, outlaws, legends in Portland's underbelly, were offering her protection like it was the most natural thing in the world because her 7-year-old son had warned them of danger. She nodded slowly. Okay, just until it's safe. As they finished eating, Bear paid the bill with a thick roll of cash and a quiet word to Maggie, who squeezed Jennifer's hand on the way out. Outside, the rain had stopped, leaving the parking lot shining under streetlights. The motorcycles growled to life in perfect unison. Jennifer buckled Marcus into the Subaru, her hands still shaking. As she pulled out behind the formation of bikes, her phone buzzed again. Another unknown number, this time a photo. Her heart stopped. It was a grainy shot taken from across the street. Marcus running towards the bikers at the gas station, her in the background dropping the gas nozzle. Underneath, a single line. Pretty brave kid. Be a shame if something happened. The grainy photo on Jennifer's phone screen felt like a punch to the chest. Her little boy frozen mid-run across the gas station lot. Tiny arms outstretched, mouth open in warning, while she stood blurred in the background, gas nozzle clattering to the ground. Below the image, those chilling words glowed white against the black message bubble. Pretty brave kid. Be a shame if something happened. Jennifer's hand shook so violently that the phone slipped and clattered onto the diner table. The sound cut through the low murmur of conversation like a gunshot. Marcus looked up from his half-finished milkshake, chocolate smeared on his upper lip. Mommy! Cole snatched the phone before Marcus could see the screen. His scar tightened as his jaw clenched. He angled the device toward Bear, who read it in silence, then passed it down the line. Every biker's face hardened in turn. Jake's fists balled. Tommy's eyes narrowed to slits. Dutch let out a low growl. Bear stood so fast, his chair scraped loudly against the tile floor. "We're leaving. Now!" Jennifer's voice came out a whisper. "They know what he looks like. They have my number. How did they—" "Doesn't matter how," Cole cut in gently but firmly, sliding out of the booth and placing a steadying hand on her shoulder. "What matters is, we keep you both safe. Come on." Outside, the night air was sharp and damp. The earlier rain leaving puddles that reflected the Neon Maggie sign in fractured red. The 5 motorcycles stood in a row like silent sentinels. Bear barked quiet orders. Jake and Tommy peeled off to escort Jennifer's Subaru. Dutch and another prospect named Riley would ride ahead and sweep the route. Cole and Bear would ride directly behind her. Jennifer buckled Marcus into his car seat. He was unusually quiet now, sensing the fear radiating from his mother. "Are the bad men gonna come get us?" he asked in a small voice. "No, baby," Jennifer lied, kissing his forehead. "These nice men are going to make sure we're safe tonight. We're just going on a little adventure." Marcus managed a tiny nod, but his lower lip trembled. The convoy moved through Portland's quiet streets. Subaru sandwiched between roaring Harleys, headlights cutting through the mist. Every red light felt endless. Every shadow in an alley made Jennifer's heart skip. She kept checking her mirrors, expecting to see a silver Honda Civic appear behind them. 20 minutes later, they pulled into a quiet residential street in northeast Portland. The safe house was a modest 1940s bungalow. Pale blue paint, white trim, chain link fence around a small yard overgrown with weeds. A single porch light glowed warmly. It looked normal, safe, like any other family home. Bear killed his engine and walked to Jennifer's window. Clubs had this place for years. Off the books. Clean titles, no ties to any member's name. You'll be okay here. Inside, the house smelled faintly of pine cleaner and old wood. Simple but comfortable. Worn leather couch, solid oak kitchen table, 2 bedrooms down a short hallway. Marcus made a beeline for the back door and pressed his face to the glass. "There's swings!" he exclaimed, the first spark of excitement returning to his voice. Cole chuckled despite the tension. "Told you, they're rusty, but tomorrow we'll fix them up good as new." Jennifer set her purse down, legs finally giving out as she sank onto the couch. The reality crashed over her in waves. Strangers, Hell's Angels, had just moved her and her son into hiding because of a threat triggered by her child's bravery. Bear handed her a burner phone. "This is yours now. Only numbers in it are mine, Cole's, and the club house. Your old phone. We're ditching it." They tracked the number too fast. Jennifer stared at the flip phone like it was from another era. "How long do we have to stay here?" "As long as it takes," Cole answered, sitting across from her. "We're already working angles. The plates Tommy got, the description. Our guys are shaking trees. Rival crews, lone wolves, anyone with a grudge. We'll find who sent that cutter." Marcus wandered back in, yawning. "Can I sleep here tonight?" Jennifer pulled him into her lap, burying her face in his hair that still smelled faintly of diner fries. "Yes, sweetheart, we both are." Bear cleared his throat. "Dutch is taking first watch outside. Riley relieves him at 2 a.m. I'll be in the detached garage. Converted it into a studio. You need anything, you holler. Door stays locked, windows too. Motion lights are on." Jennifer looked up at these men, who hours ago had been complete strangers. Terrifying one, and felt an overwhelming rush of gratitude mixed with surreal disbelief. "Why are you doing all this?" she asked quietly. "You don't know us." Bear's gray eyes met hers steadily. "Your boy ran straight at 5 patched members to warn us about danger. Didn't hesitate. That kind of heart, that kind of debt, we don't walk away from. In our world, you protect family. Tonight, you and Marcus became family," Cole added softly, "and we take care of our own." Marcus, half asleep against his mom's chest, murmured, "I like our new family." The bikers exchanged glances. Tough, hardened men, visibly moved by the innocent words of a 7-year-old. Jennifer tucked Marcus into the smaller bedroom, singing the lullaby she'd sung since he was a baby, until his breathing evened out. When she returned to the living room, Cole was waiting with a cup of chamomile tea. "Tomorrow," he said, "we'll get his inhaler, clothes, schoolwork, whatever you need. But tonight, try to rest." She nodded, clutching the warm mug. Through the front window, she could see Dutch's silhouette leaning against his bike in the driveway, cigarette cherry glowing red in the dark, eyes scanning the street. For the first time in years, Jennifer didn't feel completely alone. But just as she finally drifted towards sleep on the unfamiliar couch, her new burner phone buzzed on the coffee table. A single text from an unknown number. "Safe house won't keep you safe forever. Tell the kid to stop talking." The burner phone buzzed once on the coffee table, its harsh vibration slicing through the quiet living room like a knife, waking Jennifer from the light, uneasy sleep she'd finally fallen into on the couch. The digital clock on the microwave glowed 1:47 a.m. in cold green numbers. For a moment she lay frozen, heart already racing, staring at the unfamiliar ceiling of the safe house. The message was short and ice cold. "Safe house won't keep you safe forever. Tell the kid to stop talking." Jennifer's breath caught in her throat. She sat up slowly, clutching the phone so tightly her knuckles went white. The house was silent, except for the faint ticking of a wall clock and the distant hum of a refrigerator. Marcus was asleep in the bedroom down the hall. She could hear his soft, even breathing through the cracked door. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. Instead, pure maternal instinct took over. Protect her son. With shaking fingers, she screenshot the message, then forwarded it to the only two numbers programmed into the burner, Bear and Cole. She added a single line, "Please help." Less than 30 seconds later, she heard the low rumble of approaching motorcycles. Multiple engines, growing louder fast. Headlights swept across the front windows as bikes pulled into the driveway and onto the lawn. A soft but urgent knock came at the front door. "Jennifer, it's Cole. Open up." She hurried to the door, peering through the peephole first. Cole stood there, rain starting to fall again, misting his dark hair. Bear was right behind him, already scanning the street, phone to his ear. 3 more club members she hadn't met yet fanned out across the yard. Jennifer unchained the door and let them in. Cole stepped inside first, his eyes immediately finding hers. "You okay?" She nodded, though her whole body trembled. She handed him the phone. Cole read the text, his scar pulling tight as his expression darkened. He passed it to Bear, who let out a low, dangerous growl. "They know this location," Jennifer whispered, voice breaking. "How? We just got here a few hours ago." Bear was already on his radio, some kind of encrypted walkie system the club used. Perimeter check. Now, eyes on every approach. One of the new bikers, a stocky man with a shaved head and a patch that read, "Sergeant," spoke into his own device outside. Seconds later, Jennifer heard footsteps crunching on gravel. Cole guided her to the couch. "Sit. Breathe. We've got this." From the hallway, a sleepy voice called out, "Mom?" Marcus stood in the doorway in his 2 small pajamas, rubbing his eyes, hair sticking up in every direction. Jennifer forced a smile. "It's okay, baby. Just some friends checking on us." Marcus patted over and crawled into her lap, instinctively burrowing close. Cole watched them with something soft in his usually sharp eyes. Bear came back inside, closing the door firmly. Dutch intercepted someone 2 houses down. Young kid, early 20s, on foot with a backpack. Tried to run when he saw the bikes. Didn't get far. Jennifer's stomach dropped. "Intercepted. Is he alive?" Bear said firmly. "Tied up in the garage. Talking already. Seems he was hired to watch the house. Take photos. Report back. Amateur. Probably got the address from tracing your old phone before we ditched it." Cole crouched in front of Marcus, voice gentle. "Hey, little man. You still being brave?" Marcus nodded against his mom's shoulder. "Are the bad guys coming here?" "Not tonight," Cole said with absolute certainty. "Not ever, if we have anything to say about it." Bear pulled Cole aside, speaking low. Jennifer strained to hear. Name came up. Tyler Vance, West Side Riders enforcer, rival crew. The cutter at the gas station was one of theirs, trying to spark a war by taking us out and blaming someone else. Now they want the witness gone. Cole's voice was steel. "Then we end this, fast." Bear nodded. "But we do it smart. The kid and his mom are leverage. If we hit back blind, they'll come for them harder." Jennifer overheard enough. She stood, Marcus still in her arms. "What does that mean for us?" Cole turned back to her. "It means we go public. Right now you're a secret witness, easy to silence. But if the whole city knows your story, knows Marcus saved 5 lives, knows someone's threatening a child, they won't dare touch you. Public protects you better than any safe house." Jennifer's mind reeled. "You mean, tell the news?" "Local station's got a reporter we trust," Bear said. "Rachel Kim at Katyu. She's done stories on our charity runs. Fair woman. We set up an interview tomorrow. You tell what happened. Marcus too, if he's up for it. We make sure the threats are documented. Every text, every photo, evidence." Jennifer looked down at Marcus, who was watching the men with wide, trusting eyes. "Mom," he said quietly, "if I talk on TV, will the bad men stop?" Jennifer's heart cracked open. She kissed the top of his head. "I think so, sweetheart. Sometimes being brave means telling everyone the truth." Cole smiled, a real warm smile that transformed his scarred face. "You're already the bravest kid I've ever met." Outside, the rain picked up, drumming hard on the roof. But inside, with 5 massive bikers standing guard, engines idling in the driveway like a protective chorus, Jennifer felt something she hadn't felt in years. Hope. Bear placed a huge hand lightly on her shoulder. "Get some rest. Tomorrow, we take the power away from them. You and Marcus, you're about to become untouchable." Jennifer nodded, carrying Marcus back to bed. As she tucked him in, he whispered, "I'm not scared anymore, Mom. We have Bear and Cole." She smiled through tears. "Yeah, baby, we do." But as she closed her eyes hours later, listening to the rain and the low voices of men planning outside, one question haunted her. What would happen when the interview aired, and the people behind the threats realized they'd lost control? The Katu News studio smelled of fresh coffee and warm studio lights as Jennifer sat on a soft gray couch under the bright glare of cameras. Marcus perched bravely on her lap in his best clean jeans and a new red hoodie that Cole had bought him that morning. Reporter Rachel Kim, a poised woman in her 40s with kind eyes and a professional smile, sat across from them, microphone clipped to her blouse. Outside the studio windows, Portland's morning traffic hummed, oblivious to the fact that a 7-year-old boy was about to become the city's smallest hero. Rachel leaned forward slightly. "Jennifer, Marcus, thank you for coming in today. Can you take us back to that rainy afternoon at Miller's gas station? What happened?" Jennifer took a deep breath, her hand gently stroking Marcus's hair. She recounted the story, the struggle to make ends meet, pumping gas with only a few dollars left, the roar of the motorcycles, and then Marcus noticing the hooded man tampering with the bikes. When it was Marcus's turn, he sat up straighter, voice clear and steady despite the cameras. "I saw the bad man cutting the brakes with a tool," he said. "My mom's friend Dave told me about cut brake lines once, how people can die. So I ran and yelled, 'Don't start your bikes,' because I didn't want the big guys to get hurt." Rachel's eyes softened. "You ran toward 5 Hell's Angels, men most adults would be afraid of, to warn them?" Marcus nodded. "They looked tough, but I thought maybe they were nice tough, and I was right." The studio crew off camera let out quiet chuckles. Even the usually stoic Bear, standing just offset in the shadows with Cole, cracked a proud smile. Jennifer continued, voice trembling as she described the threatening texts, the photo of Marcus running, the midnight visitor at the safe house. She didn't name the rival club. Police had asked them not to yet, but she made it clear. Someone was trying to silence her son for doing the right thing. Rachel turned directly to the camera. "This is a story of extraordinary courage from a child who refused to look away, and of an unlikely community stepping up to protect him. The Portland chapter of the Hells Angels has provided round-the-clock protection for Jennifer and Marcus since that day." The segment ended with file footage of the club's annual toy drive, big bearded men in leather handing stuffed animals to smiling children, and a final shot of Marcus looking straight into the lens. "If you see something wrong," he said earnestly, "you should tell someone, even if you're little." The interview aired on the 6 o'clock news, and again at 11. By morning, it had gone viral. Local papers picked it up. National outlets followed. Social media exploded with Naughty's Marcus the hero and Big Naughty smallest voice. Jennifer's old phone, now in police evidence, was flooded with supportive messages before they shut it down. The burner rang constantly with reporters, but Cole handled those. At the safe house, the mood shifted dramatically. Club members rotated in and out, bringing groceries, toys, even a brand new swing set that Jake and Tommy assembled in the backyard, while Marcus watched in awe. 3 days after the interview, Officer Davidson knocked on the door with news. Tyler Vance, West Side Riders enforcer, was arrested this morning, he told Jennifer, Bear, and Cole in the living room. The threats, combined with the kid your guys questioned, and the brake line evidence, were enough for a warrant. He's looking at attempted murder, intimidation of a witness, conspiracy, serious time. Jennifer felt her knees buckle. Cole caught her elbow gently. Is it over? She whispered. Davidson nodded. For him, yes. And the publicity. No one else will touch you now. You're too visible. The whole city's watching. Marcus, playing chess with Dutch on the living room floor, looked up and grinned. So we can go home. The room went quiet. Jennifer looked around at the house that had become a sanctuary, the fresh flowers Maggie had brought, the repaired swing set visible through the window, the fridge full of food for the first time in years. She met Bear's eyes. Home, she said softly. Doesn't feel like the old apartment anymore. Bear cleared his throat, suddenly gruff. About that. Club voted last night. Unanimous. This house is yours. No rent. You keep it up. Maybe help coordinate some of our community stuff. Toy drives, fundraisers. Make it official. But it's your home. Jennifer's eyes filled instantly. Why would you? Because your boy saved 5 brothers, Bear said simply. Because you've both been through hell and kept standing. Because family takes care of family, and your family now. Marcus jumped up and hugged Bear's leg. Bear's massive leg. Thank you, Mr. Bear. Bear ruffled the boy's hair, eyes suspiciously shiny. If this story of unexpected family, protection, and a new beginning is warming your heart right now, do me a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe to Road Motorcycle Diaries, and turn on notifications so you never miss a story that proves goodness still exists in this world. Later that afternoon, Cole pushed Marcus on the new swing while Jennifer watched from the porch, coffee in hand, real coffee, in a house that was now hers. Think you can handle living around a bunch of noisy bikers? Cole asked her with a half smile. Jennifer laughed, a real light laugh she hadn't heard from herself in years. I think we already are. But even as joy settled over the little blue house, one question lingered in Jennifer's mind. After everything they'd been through, could she really trust this new life to last? If this moment touched you, the moment a little boy's bravery earned him a forever home, drop a like, subscribe to Road Motorcycle Diaries with notifications on, and comment below. Would you have run toward danger like Marcus did to warn strangers? Your stories inspire us all. 6 months later, golden afternoon sunlight filtered through the blooming cherry tree that Jennifer had planted in the front yard of the little blue bungalow, its petals drifting lazily onto the freshly mowed lawn like soft pink snow. The house no longer looked like a safe house. It looked like a home. Flower beds burst with roses and daisies along the fence. The swing set gleamed with new paint and sturdy chains, and the once overgrown grass was now a vibrant green carpet, where Marcus chased a soccer ball with Dutch and Riley. Jennifer stood on the porch in jeans and a simple sunflower t-shirt, watching with a quiet smile that reached all the way to her eyes. Eyes that no longer carried the permanent shadows of exhaustion. She still worked at Providence Hospital, but only 3 shifts a week now. The club had put her on a modest salary to coordinate their community outreach. Toy drives, food banks, school supply giveaways. Work that filled her soul instead of draining it. Inside the kitchen, Bear's booming laugh echoed as he helped Maggie unload grocery bags. Every Sunday without fail, Bear showed up with a truckload of food. Fresh produce, steaks, Marcus's favorite cereal. Maggie often came too, bringing homemade pies or casseroles for the growing boy. The Portland chapter's reputation around town had shifted in ways no one could have predicted. People still respected the patches, still gave the bikes space on the road, but now they also waved. Mothers at Marcus's school thanked Jennifer for those amazing bikers who fixed the playground. The annual toy drive that year had been the biggest ever. Thousands of toys for kids in need, all organized from this little blue house. Marcus ran up to the porch, cheeks flushed, grass stains on his knees. "Mom, Cole said he's gonna teach me how to throw a curveball after dinner," Jennifer laughed. "As long as you finish your homework first, slugger." Cole had become a constant, quiet presence in their lives. He showed up most evenings, sometimes with takeout, sometimes just to push Marcus on the swing, or help with math homework. His courtship of Jennifer had been slow and respectful. Coffee on the porch after Marcus went to bed, long talks about books and dreams, gentle handholds that sent warmth through her she hadn't felt in years. That evening, as the sun dipped low, the whole crew gathered in the backyard for a barbecue. Jake manned the grill, flipping burgers with military precision. Tommy told exaggerated stories that had Marcus giggling uncontrollably. Dutch set up a horseshoe pit, letting the boy win a few rounds on purpose. Jennifer sat beside Cole on the porch steps, watching the scene with a full heart. "You know," she said softly, "a year ago I was drowning, counting pennies for gas, skipping meals so Marcus could eat, crying in the hospital parking lot because another medical bill came. I never imagined this." Cole's arm rested lightly around her shoulders. "You didn't just get lucky, Jen. Marcus was brave. You were brave, and you let us in." She leaned into him. "I was terrified of you all at first. Everything I'd heard about Hell's Angels." Cole chuckled. "We're not saints, but we know loyalty. We know family. And that kid?" He nodded toward Marcus, who was now trying to braid Bear's beard with daisy chains. "He showed us pure heart, reminded us why we protect what's good in this world." Bear caught them watching and raised his beer in a mock toast. "To the smallest brother with the biggest balls." The yard erupted in cheers and laughter. Even Marcus joined in, not fully understanding, but loving the attention. Later, after the sun had set, and the fire pit crackled with warmth against the cool evening, Jennifer tucked Marcus into bed. His room was now painted sky blue, posters of motorcycles and baseball players on the walls, a shelf full of books the club members kept bringing. "Mom," he said sleepily, "are we gonna stay here forever?" Jennifer smoothed his hair. "I think so, baby. This is home now." He smiled, eyes already closing. "I love our big family, Bear and Cole and everybody. And I saved people, Mom. That's pretty cool." She kissed his forehead. "That's very cool. You're my hero, Marcus." Downstairs, Cole waited in the kitchen with 2 mugs of tea. They sat at the table, the house quiet except for the distant rumble of a bike pulling away. Someone finishing their voluntary drive-by check on the house. Old habits died hard, even with the threat long gone. Cole reached across the table and took her hand. "Jen, I've been waiting for the right time, but there isn't a perfect one. I care about you. A lot. And I love that kid like he's my own. I'd like to be here, really here, if you'll have me." Jennifer's breath caught. Tears welled, but they were the good kind. She squeezed his hand. "I think we'd like that very much." Outside, the stars came out over northeast Portland, bright and steady. The sound of a single motorcycle echoed in the distance. Not a threat anymore, but a reminder of protection, of brotherhood, of the unlikely family that had formed around one act of childhood courage. Jennifer fell asleep that night with Cole's arm around her. Marcus safe down the hall, the house filled with the faint scent of barbecue smoke and cherry blossoms. Life wasn't perfect. There were still hard days, still bills, still worries. But for the first time in years, Jennifer felt whole. And somewhere in the city, people who had seen the news story still talked about the little boy who ran toward danger to save strangers, and how those strangers had given him and his mother a new life in return. The late summer sun painted the backyard in warm gold as Marcus sprinted across the fresh-cut grass, his laughter ringing out like bells, while Cole chased him with a garden hose, spraying gentle arcs of water that caught the light in shimmering rainbows. Jennifer watched from the kitchen window, hands dusted with flour from the apple pie she was baking. Maggie's recipe, now a family favorite. The little blue bungalow had transformed completely. New paint on the porch, wind chimes tinkling in the breeze, a vegetable garden along the fence where Marcus proudly grew tomatoes for Bear's Burgers. 2 years had passed since that rainy afternoon at Miller's gas station. 2 years since a 7-year-old boy had changed everything with one brave shout. Marcus was 9 now, taller, confident, wearing shoes that fit perfectly, and a Hells Angels support hoodie that the club had made specially for him. No patches, just Portland family embroidered on the back. He still had those sharp, observant eyes, but now they sparkled with joy instead of worry. Jennifer's life had steadied into something beautiful and solid. The medical bills from her husband's death were finally paid off, thanks to a pro bono lawyer Bear had connected her with who specialized in wrongful death settlements. She worked part-time at the hospital, but her real passion was running the club's expanded community programs. Under her guidance, the Portland chapter had become known across Oregon for their outreach. Back-to-school backpack drives, Thanksgiving dinners for hundreds of families, a partnership with Providence Hospital to provide free helmets and bike safety classes for kids. The reputation of the Hells Angels in the city had shifted forever. People no longer crossed the street. They waved. They stopped Bear on the sidewalk to thank him. Mothers brought their children to the toy drives just to shake Marcus's hand. The boy who had reminded everyone that courage comes in small packages and that judging by appearances can blind you to true character. Cole and Jennifer had married quietly the previous spring, a small ceremony in the backyard under the cherry tree. Bear officiated. He'd gotten certified online just for them. Maggie baked a 3-tier cake, and the entire chapter showed up in their cuts, forming an arch of raised beer bottles as the couple walked back down the aisle of lawn chairs. Marcus had been the ring bearer, grinning ear to ear in a tiny leather vest made to match Cole's. Now Cole was the father Marcus had lost and desperately needed, teaching him to ride a bicycle without training wheels, helping with science fair projects. Their volcano had won first place, attending every parent-teacher conference with pride. At night, Cole read Marcus adventure stories, his deep voice bringing pirates and heroes to life. That evening, as the barbecue smoke curled into the twilight sky, the usual crew gathered again. Only now it felt less like a club gathering and more like a real family reunion. Jake and his wife brought their new baby for Marcus to hold carefully. Tommy told the same old stories, but now Marcus knew all the punchlines and finished them for him. Dutch had taught the boy chess, and they played intense matches on the porch, while Maggie refereed with pie slices as prizes. Bear arrived last, as always, pulling up on his Harley with a thunderous roar that no longer made Jennifer flinch. It made her smile. He carried a large wrapped box under one arm. "Got something for the kid," he announced gruffly, though his eyes gave away his excitement. Marcus ran over, hugging Bear's leg before being lifted into a massive bear hug. Pun intended. "What is it, Uncle Bear?" Bear set him down and handed over the box. Inside was a custom miniature Harley-Davidson electric motorcycle, red and chrome, with Marcus painted on the tank in professional script. Marcus's mouth fell open. "For real? It's mine." "Yours," Bear confirmed. "Cole and I are gonna teach you the basics. Safety first. Helmet, gloves, all of it. When you're older, we'll get you on a real one, but you've earned this, little brother." Jennifer felt tears prick her eyes as Marcus revved the quiet electric engine and did careful circles around the yard, the club members cheering him on like proud uncles. Later, when the stars came out and the fire pit glowed, Cole pulled Jennifer close on the porch swing. "Hard to believe sometimes," he murmured into her hair. "That one moment at a gas station led to all this." She rested her head on his shoulder. "I was so scared that day. Thought my world was ending. Turns out it was just beginning." Cole kissed her temple. "Marcus didn't just save 5 lives that afternoon. He brought us all together. Showed us what family really means." From the yard, Marcus called up, "Mom! Cole! Watch how high I can go now!" He pumped his legs on the swing, soaring higher than ever, fearless and free. Jennifer waved, her heart so full it felt like it might burst. Inside the house, on the mantel above the fireplace, sat a framed photo from the early days. Marcus, small and serious, standing between Bear and Cole at the first toy drive Jennifer had organized. Underneath, simple words were engraved. "Never judge a book by its cover. Sometimes the scariest looking people have the biggest hearts, and the smallest voice can change everything." That photo had become the quiet centerpiece of their home, a reminder of where they came from and how far courage and kindness could carry you. As the night deepened and motorcycles rumbled away one by one, Jennifer stood at the door, watching the taillights disappear down the street. The sound no longer meant danger. It meant home. The autumn rain fell again over Miller's gas station on the outskirts of Portland, Oregon. Exactly 3 years to the day since everything had changed. Soft, steady drops pattering on the same cracked asphalt, carrying that same cool, wet scent of gasoline and distant pine. Jennifer pulled her SUV, a reliable used Subaru that Cole had helped her buy last year, into the exact same pump island where her old battered car had once sat with its glowing fuel light. Marcus, now 10 years old, and nearly as tall as her shoulder, hopped out without being asked, grabbing the squeegee to clean the windshield with practiced motions. His hair was still messy brown, his eyes still sharp and kind, but there was a quiet confidence in him now that hadn't existed before. Jennifer watched him through the glass, her heart swelling with the familiar mix of pride and wonder. So much had happened since that afternoon, so many days that could have gone differently if her little boy hadn't listened to his instincts. "Mom, remember when we only had $23 and you wouldn't let me get a candy bar?" Marcus called out with a grin, wiping water streaks away. Jennifer laughed, stepping out into the light rain. "I remember, and I still feel guilty about it." He shrugged, smile widening. "Worth it. Got a whole family instead." They had come back today on purpose. A tradition they'd started last year. An annual visit to the place where their old life ended and their new one began. A way to honor the past, to say thank you, and to remind themselves never to take their present for granted. As Jennifer started pumping gas, the familiar deep rumble approached. 5 motorcycles rolling into the far end of the lot in perfect formation. Chrome gleaming even under the gray sky. Bear led, followed by Cole, Jake, Tommy, and Dutch. They parked in the exact same spots as that fateful day. Marcus's face lit up. He dropped the squeegee and ran across the lot, just like he had 3 years ago, but this time with joy instead of fear. "Uncle Bear!" Bear killed his engine and swung off the bike, catching Marcus in a massive hug that lifted the boy clear off the ground. The other men followed, surrounding him with backslaps and hair ruffles. Cole walked straight to Jennifer, wrapping her in his arms and kissing her softly in the rain. "Happy anniversary, babe." She smiled against his leather cut. "Happy anniversary." The group gathered between the pumps and the bikes, the rain light enough now to feel refreshing rather than cold. Bear pulled a small wrapped package from his saddlebag and handed it to Marcus. "For you, little brother. Open it." Marcus tore the paper to reveal a polished chrome keychain shaped like a tiny Harley, engraved on the back. "Marcus Webb, the day you saved us. October 12th, 2022. Marcus's eyes shone. "This is awesome." Jake cleared his throat, suddenly gruff. "We all got one too." He pulled an identical keychain from his pocket. Then Tommy, Dutch, and Cole did the same. "So, we never forget who watched our backs when we didn't even know we needed it." Jennifer felt tears mixing with rain on her cheeks. Bear looked down at Marcus, voice thick. "You taught us something that day, son. That real strength isn't about size or patches or loud pipes. It's about seeing wrong and doing something about it, even when you're scared, even when everyone else looks away." Cole took Jennifer's hand. "And you," he said to her, "you taught us that letting people in, trusting again after loss, that's its own kind of bravery." Marcus looked around at the 5 big men who had become his uncles, his protectors, his family. "I was just doing what Mom always told me. Speak up when you see something wrong." Maggie's old diner van pulled into the lot then, Maggie herself behind the wheel, waving out the window. She'd closed the diner for an hour to join them. In the back were boxes of burgers, fries, and milkshakes, enough for everyone. They all sat on the curb like they had that first day, eating and laughing under the awning as the rain eased to a mist. Stories were retold, how small Marcus had looked running at them, how fast Jennifer had dropped the gas nozzle, how close they'd all come to tragedy. When the food was gone, Bear stood and raised his milkshake cup. "To Marcus, the smallest voice that saved the biggest hearts. And to Jennifer, the strongest woman we know. Family forever." "Family forever," they all echoed. Marcus leaned against Jennifer, content. "Mom, Do you think if I hadn't run that day, would we still have found them? Jennifer thought about it, watching Cole talk quietly with Bear, watching the men who had once terrified her now treat her son like gold. I don't know, baby, she said softly, but I think good hearts find each other eventually. You just sped it up a little. The sun broke through the clouds then, casting a rainbow across the wet parking lot. They all looked up at it in silence, feeling the same quiet awe. 3 years ago, a widow and her son had been barely surviving. Today, they were surrounded by love they never could have imagined, all because one small boy refused to stay silent. The autumn wind carried the scent of rain across the parking lot of Miller's gas station on the outskirts of Portland, Oregon, just like it had 3 years ago to the day. Only now, the scene was entirely different. Where once there had been tension, fear, and a hooded figure tampering with motorcycles, there was now laughter, the sizzle of a portable grill, and a large banner strung between 2 Harleys that read, "Thank you, Marcus, our hero, our family." Jennifer stood with Cole's arm around her waist, watching as Marcus, 10 years old and beaming, cut a ceremonial ribbon with oversized scissors, while a small crowd of club members, neighbors, Maggie, and even Officer Davidson cheered. They were dedicating a new plaque on the side of the gas station wall, a simple bronze marker commemorating the day a small boy's courage saved lives and proved that kindness could bloom in the most unexpected places. The station owner, who had seen the original story on the news years ago, had offered the spot willingly. The plaque read, "In honor of Marcus Webb." On October 12, 2022, a 7-year-old boy with a big heart warned strangers of danger, preventing tragedy, and reminding us all, never judge by appearances. Speak up when something is wrong. Goodness finds goodness. Family is chosen, not just born. Marcus turned to the small gathering after the ribbon fell, a little shy under the attention, but standing tall. "I didn't do anything special," he said into the microphone Bear held for him. "I just saw something bad and told the truth. But because of that, I got the best family in the world. So, thank you for letting me be brave." The applause was thunderous. Bear's eyes weren't the only ones misty. Later, as everyone shared burgers and milkshakes under a canopy, Maggie had catered the whole thing. Jennifer found a quiet moment with Cole near the pumps. She looked at the spot where her old Subaru had once sat, fuel light glowing, her heart heavy with worry. "I was so tired that day," she said softly. "So scared for the future. I thought we were alone in the world." Cole pulled her closer. "And now?" She looked around, Bear hoisting Marcus onto his shoulders for a better view, Jake and Tommy teaching neighborhood kids how to safely check a bike's tires, Dutch handing out club charity flyers, Maggie passing pie slices like it was Thanksgiving. "Now," Jennifer said, voice thick with emotion, "I know we were never alone. We just hadn't found our people yet." Marcus's voice, "It didn't just save 5 lives that day. It called our family to us." Cole kissed her forehead. "And we answered." As the sun broke through the clouds, casting that same hopeful light across the lot, Jennifer reflected on the journey. From a single mother and son barely scraping by, to threats in the night and strangers becoming guardians, to a home that was truly theirs, filled with love, laughter, and the rumble of motorcycles that meant safety, to a community transformed, a club redeemed in the eyes of a city, and a little boy who grew up knowing exactly what courage looked like. All because one child refused to stay silent. All because tough-looking men with rough exteriors chose honor, loyalty, and compassion when it mattered most. All because goodness, real, raw, human goodness, won. Jennifer squeezed Cole's hand and called out, "Marcus, time for a picture!" The whole group gathered in front of the new plaque. Marcus front and center, Jennifer and Cole on either side, Bear's massive arm around them all, the rest of the chapter filling in like the protective circle they'd always been. The camera clicked. A perfect moment, frozen in time. A family forged not by blood, but by one brave shout on a rainy afternoon. Years from now, people driving past Miller's gas station would see the plaque and wonder about the story behind it. Some would stop to read. Some would share it online. And a few, a scared parent, a lonely child, someone judging too quickly by appearances, might be reminded that heroes come in all sizes, that speaking up matters, and that sometimes the scariest looking doors hide the warmest homes. Marcus Webb's small voice had echoed farther than anyone could have imagined, and in doing so, it restored faith, not just in Jennifer, not just in the club, but in everyone who heard the story, that compassion still exists, that courage still matters, and that family finds you, often when you least expect it, in the most unexpected ways. If this story moved you, the story of a little boy who ran toward danger to save strangers, and how those strangers gave him and his mother a lifetime of love in return, then please, right now, hit that like button, subscribe to Road Motorcycle Diaries, and turn on the bell. Share this series with someone who needs to remember that good people are everywhere, and comment below. Would you have had the courage to do what Marcus did that day? Because stories like this remind us, the smallest voice can carry the biggest message, and sometimes the roughest exterior hides the greatest heart. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Never forget, goodness wins, family is chosen, and courage changes everything. See you in the next story.